Alexander from Horrible Games, and today I will introduce you to the gameplay of Alone. Alone is an asymmetric dungeon crawler. One single player controls the hero, the single good guy of the game. He is an engineer. His ship has shipwrecked on an unknown planet, so he doesn't know where he is. He has lost his crewmates, he wants to find them, but he doesn't know anything of the place he is in, so he will have to explore an unknown map full of dangers and creatures and monsters. He has actions that he can use to explore, to try to find the map or triangulate his position so that he can find the rooms that he has to reach, while up to 3 players on the other side of the screen will control the evil forces trying to stop him and to kill him. So let's analyze the hero action one by one now. The first action is the movement action. Basically, by using that action, the hero simply moves in one of the adjacent sectors. When he declares his intention to move, the evil players will have to check his current position in the map, in the complete map that they can see. They have to check what is in front of him and place the proper sector tile for him in the zoomed in version of the map. So we see here that there is a straight going forward. The evil players place it for the hero. They say there is nothing left in here, so you can go. And then the hero moves. This is the movement action. It's very simple. But what happens if there is something dangerous where the hero is going to go and he didn't understand that? Let's see this new example. We have a creature next to the hero now. He declares the intention to go to this sector, so the evil players will check the map and see you have a straight in front of you. He will move as before, but then they will say, and there is also a creature, you have fallen into our trap. So the hero will get scared because of this, and he will lose a bit of self-control. The amount of self-control he loses depends on which creature he has met. Each creature has a different scariness. In addition to the self-control damage he takes, at the end of the action, each time the hero is in the same sector with one or more creatures, all the creatures will attack him and deal him health damage. So this is a very bad situation for the hero. So what can the hero do to prevent this? The action that the hero can use to prevent falling into the evil player's traps is the explore action. This means that the hero, when he has the suspect that something nasty is happening behind the scenes, he can sacrifice a bit of time, because each action that he performs costs him action points, and that means that he loses time. So the more actions he takes, the more time it passes, so the less time he will have to complete his mission. If he suspects that something nasty and not pleasant for him is happening, he can do several things to improve his situation. For example, he can explore, as we said. So this forces, if he declares the intention to explore a sector before moving in, he will force the evil players to reveal what's inside of the sector before moving. So in the situation we have just seen, if he says, I want to explore this sector, the evil players will check the map as always, and they will place both the sector and the creature in this case. So now the hero knows that there is a creature there. He will not be scared by it when he will be in the same sector with the creature. And then now, after having spent an action to explore, he can also spend a second action to move here. And this brings us to another action that the hero performs, which is an obvious one, and it is the attack action. When he is near a creature, he can, of course, decide to attack it to get rid of it for good. When the hero attacks, depending on which weapon he is using, he has several possible item cards to use, and each weapon has a different statistic, so the amount of damage that he deals and the amount of dice that the hero can roll is different. But when he has chosen a weapon, he will have a certain number of dice to roll. After a die roll, this is a very lucky one, because Each one of these phases is a success, so 1 damage is dealt to the creature. If a blank phase shows up, that means no damage. I have mentioned the weapons. Weapons are just one of the kinds of items that the hero can find during the game. He has the search action that allows him to find items. There are several different items that he can find. Some are weapons, some allow him to move faster, for example. This improves his capability to repair stuff. This allows him to switch on the light in some sectors for a few times, and light is very important in the game, as we will see later. He can cure himself. There are tools to cure his health points, and two items to cure his self-control. Now let's go to see the radar action. The radar is one of the most important tools for the hero in this game, because with no knowledge of the map when the game starts, he has to find a way to find his destination rooms, to discover if he is getting nearer or if he is moving away from the target sector. So how does the radar action work in that regard? The radar has 2 different uses for the hero. Whenever the evil players place something on the map, for example a creature, this produces radar signals that the hero can intercept. So the evil players will have to check the position of the thing that just placed in comparison to the hero and communicate something like, you hear a radar signal from, in this case, west. So the hero will record that he has heard something dangerous, possibly dangerous, coming from west. And having several of these clues given to him during the game will allow him to keep track of where the dangerous things can be, and how he can avoid them, or how he can go face them prepared. The second use of the radar is the most important one, to allow the hero to find his way in the unknown map. Let's look at this example. In this mission, the hero has to reach the laboratory, which is marked by this mission token here. By using the radar action, he can ask for the distance from this room. So he spends an action and he asks, what is the distance from the laboratory? The evil players will have to check and tell him the shortest route that separates him from the room in question. So in this case it's 1, 2, 3, 4 sectors. So they will say the distance is 4. On this floor, the hero decides to move in this direction. He's not sure if it's the right one, but he has explored this sector, he knows that nothing dangerous is there, so maybe it is a wise idea. He uses the movement action and moves here, and this is also reflected on the hero side of the table. Now he decides to check if the way he has taken is the correct one. So he spends another action to ask again for the distance from the target sector. And the evil players will check the situation again and will say, okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The distance is now 5. Thanks to this information, the hero now knows that he has moved in the wrong direction, so he can get back and try again. We have seen how the radar can be useful to determine if the hero has chosen the right way or not. This is the perfect example to show another action of the hero, which is the run action. The run action is a special action because it costs 1 action point like all the others, but it also costs an extra self-control damage. So to run, the hero also has to lose a bit of his self-control. What is the effect though? With 1 single action, the hero can move 2 sectors. In the example we have just seen, this was a possible smart move to do, because he has lost time before to go the wrong way. Running allows him to recover part of this time. The next action we will see is the use item action. It's pretty straightforward. Some of the items the hero can find have an effect that can be used as an action. To use this effect, he needs to spend an action point, because it's basically a special action, and by doing so he can activate the effect of a card. The final action we will analyze is actually a group of different actions that all fall in the same category, which is the engineering actions. The hero is an engineer, so he has a lot of technical skills he can use to help himself to save his life. But I need to explain a few things about the evil players first, so I will explain it later. Let's talk a bit about the evil players now. The gameplay of the evil players depends on their card decks. Each player has a personal deck, and each deck is thematically different from the other decks. So for example, the red deck is the Fury deck. The player that uses this deck is able to deal more damage with the creatures, for example. The purple deck is the Fear deck that helps the evil player who uses it to deal self-control damage to the hero, and so on. During each round of the hero, a different evil player will be the leader. The evil leader has more cards in his hand compared to the other evil players. So this means, since all decks are thematically different, that during each round of the hero, the kind of threats that he is going to face are different depending on the deck the evil player is using. So during the turn as leader of the Fury player, creatures will be more dangerous than usual, and so on. Let's take a look at some of the evil cards. In Alone, it is always the hero's turn. All the evil players can do is to react at the end of an action performed by the hero. The cards they can use all have a trigger requirement. So for example, this card can be used as a reaction to an attack action performed by the hero. This can be used when the hero takes self-control damage. Can be used when the hero moves, and so on. So, after the hero has performed an action, the evil players can react to that action by playing a card with the correct requirement to try to prevent him to complete his missions. Each card also has a second special effect that can be activated if the hero is in the same sector with an alert token that I will explain you in a moment. In addition to play cards to activate their effects, the evil players can also choose to discard them without activating the effect, to spawn creatures and place alert tokens. By discarding two cards without activating their effect, the evil players can spawn a creature and place alert tokens. They must place a creature at a distance of at least 3 from the hero. But whenever they do that, they can place wherever they want 2 alert tokens that, as we have seen, can be used to activate the special effects of the evil cards if the hero is in the same sector of an alert token when the card is played. With their reactions, the evil player can really make the hero's life much more difficult than it already is. But the hero has another tool that he can use to prevent that. We've mentioned at the beginning that he has adrenaline, that is determined by the health levels he has in any moment. When he wants to perform an action without allowing the evil players to react and ruin his intentions, he can declare that in addition to spending an action point to perform the action, he is also spending an adrenaline. This completely prevents the evil player from reacting at all, so they cannot play cards even if the condition is met, and they cannot do anything before the hero performs his next action. So by spending adrenaline, the hero is basically allowing himself to perform 2 actions without interference. Now that you know a bit more about the evil players, I can finally explain you the hero's engineering action. It is actually a group of different actions, but they are all related to the engineering skill the hero has. Let's start with the combine items action. Each item comes with a number of charges that basically is how many times you can use that item before it must be discarded. And it also has a main characteristic. So for example, the tranquilizer is a chemical item, the jetpack is a mechanical item, and so on. Each item also has a upgraded effect that can be activated by combining two different items. How does that work? Each upgraded effect has a requirement. So, for example, if we want to activate this special effect, we need to use the combine items action, discard one charge from an item of the same kind of the upgrade requirement, and place that same charge on that power. This means that this power is now permanently activated. The second engineering action is the diffuse traps action. When the evil players use an evil card and they activate an effect thanks to the presence of an alert token, they do not need to spend that token. So the presence of an alert token can be a long-term problem for the hero. But using the diffuse traps action, it can actually remove an alert token for good. The third engineering action is the fix lights action. This allows me to talk about a very important part of the game that I have not mentioned yet: light. When the game starts, all the map is dark, and this is a very big problem for the hero because creatures love to be in the dark and they can hide and they can deal a lot more damage when these are the conditions. While exploring, the hero may find light control units in his way. If he moves in a sector containing a light control unit, he can fix it by using the repair lights action, and this allows him to switch back the lights on in several sectors of the map. The evil players need to check which sectors are connected to the light control unit and place the relevant sectors in front of the hero. The first immediate advantage for the hero is that several sectors can be revealed in front of him without the need to explore first, so this is already a huge advantage. In addition to that, creatures can even deal less or no damage if exposed to light, so this is a huge advantage. This example allows me to explain one more thing I didn't mention yet: the doors. When a sector is revealed to the hero and he can see a door, this means that a room is behind it. The final engineering action I have to explain is the weld or unweld doors. This allows the hero to weld or unweld the door, and it can be used to keep the creatures away if the hero needs to escape fast. But it is a double-edged weapon, because if then the hero discovers that he has to go back that same route and the door has been welded, he will have to lose more time to unweld it and go through. So it is a strong action, but it has to be used with care. This was a quick overview of the rules of Alone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was all clear. If not, you can ask questions in the comments, and see you next time.